Hey everyone, welcome back to Growth Hacks with Q Growth. Today I'm joined by Kshitij Kaushik, who is a colleague and a very good friend of mine. Hi Kshitij, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, Amir. Hi, everyone. I'm Kshitij. I am a design entrepreneur. I have an agency, UX consultancy called 32 North. We work with enterprise scale systems, government softwares, etc. I've been practicing design for about 15 years now. And recently, I ventured into my journey of also kind of becoming a salesperson, like trying to kind of lead sales and these kind of efforts for myself. And it's been an interesting journey alongside Amaya Q Growth over the past year, and here to talk about it.
Great. Yeah, so I think a very interesting thing that you brought up is your journey into being a salesperson, right? So I think that's why we are talking. Yeah, can you walk us through, I think some 5 or 6 months back, you were sort of non-existent on LinkedIn. Uh, and then you just started, right? You started from scratch, and I think today, in a very short span, you have, even though the connections are less, but they are very high quality connections. You have people actually consuming your content, right? You're getting feedback from uh, top executive leaders working in really large healthcare organizations. So just would love to understand how was the journey for you. What did you enjoy most? What were some of the challenges?
I think when you put it like that, it feels less of a crisis. But I was very reluctant about being on LinkedIn. I found it to be very, I don't know, cringy in terms of what people would write, they would
Yeah,
what I would usually come across, and I'm like, who really has time to write such things? I mean, who's even consuming it? Who does not realize that there's just made up stuff or something like that? But I think I put it away for as much as I could, and then I realized that it really isn't something that you can put away. Like it's one of those things. Like sales is definitely something that you should know, and you should know it well, and that really makes and breaks, because I can do whatever I want on operations end, etc. But if you can't sell it, you there's just no point. You can do brilliant work and sitting inside your room, and nobody has to know about it. You're just going to work really hard begging for opportunities. So I think at some point in time there was just sort of like this threshold where I was like, okay, I don't think I can put it away, or and I would not want somebody else to represent my voice, because that just isn't authentic. So I decided to get into it myself, and I think there was so much to learn, and I think LinkedIn has these different pockets, and then there are relevant rooms and pockets for you. There are people who really would appreciate something which is genuine, something which is very factual. There's a lot of information for me to put out there, as somebody who has expertise working with enterprise, working with really large teams, and the
yeah,
shift that has happened. Because I mean, not only I came on LinkedIn, AI came into the world, and
yeah.
that changed processes, that changed scale, that changed the power to kind of compute so much. And I think that to when you were saying that, okay, these are high value connections, I think that was the opportunity for us, that since I
Yeah.
just did not exist on LinkedIn, coming in, I knew that it wasn't like, oh, I'm adding my university friends, or I'm adding people that I worked with. I was like, LinkedIn is purely a space for me to have people that I would have connections in terms of prospects, people that who can help me network, people who are subject matter experts. And I started out there, and I mean, it's rare to, like you said, it's just been what I think somewhere around October we started out.
Yeah,
September is when we figured out, because I think the first few months we were still kind of catching a grip, learning.
yeah,
Uh, I remember what it felt like to have first not friend like a post, and I'm like, oh my god, who the heck?
yeah.
Let me like I was really excited, and from that to now, I mean, things have changed. Now we really do come across as thought leaders. So yeah, that's kind of how it's been, and very happy with how things are working.
That's actually very nice to hear because as you know, I've been consulting, apart from Q Growth before this, I was consulting with a lot of founders. most of them in tech space, and I could see I could see a lot of reluctance to put yourself out there, right? And as you rightly said, when you're starting out, when you're a founder, right, why would you want somebody else to be the voice of what you're doing? Or why
Yeah,
would you want to hire somebody uh, who's just working for a paycheck? Like nothing wrong with that. But then again, right, when you're starting out, when you're trying to build a brand, when you just because 15, 20 years of enterprise experience cannot be conveyed by a 25 or a 30-year-old with a very limited set of sales experience working in multiple organizations, right?
that's
And
true. And
yeah,
I think something that just underlines it, that I don't think the it can hit as badly or as hard or as desperately to anybody who's getting a secure salary than somebody who's like, I only have money to keep the lights on for 3 months.
yeah. Of course, that I think that fire and realization is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a lot of people when they are looking to start on LinkedIn, right? Of course, there is a lot of advice out there. LinkedIn has a lot of content on how you should post on LinkedIn and what works on LinkedIn, right? But again, what I've realized, and you also must have seen through your journey, right, that it's a game of patience, right? You very patiently, very thoughtfully curate the stuff that you want to put out to, right? You very carefully select people that you want to be connected with, and of course, you need to wait. It's not going to happen overnight, right? It's like,
Yeah.
as you said, it's continuously posting months on months,
Yeah.
maybe without seeing like a lot of engagement, right? There's no shortcut for this.
Yeah.
So I would like to understand that, uh, is there like a playbook that you've sort of figured out? Because I see, you consistently posting really good content, connecting industry news, what's happening in AI, what's happening in the industry that you're working with, right? And then converting these into sort of different posts, right? I see 32 Not doing a post on the same topic, which is framed in a very different way. Then I see you posting it, and then the newsletter is it's a culmination of like the worldview of what a thought leader thinks about it. So
I think if we talk about playbook, my playbook is you. Uh, I would have not been on LinkedIn if it wasn't for you pushing me to do it and helping me realize as to, how I was just not convinced unless I was like, okay, I mean, you always undervalue something which is just available so close to you. And I think that's how it was for me until I realized, I mean, there are people who hire him and there are people who think that he makes sense. So why should I just take him for granted? And I think I was just that's when I kind of decided to get into it. I followed, your advice in terms of being consistent, putting. And I think something nice was that this is something I hate. I mean, like templates.
Yeah,
Even when you reach out to agencies and when you talk to people, even when you're hiring people to not do this on your behalf, but at least consult and advise, it's just like they want to stick you to a template, right? And then why am
yeah,
I paying new money for old stuff? Like, and
yeah,
I don't want to do it. Like I hate when somebody does not have a reasoning to why should I do it. I mean, my situation is unique.
yeah,
Even when we were starting out, I always had this thing that I really love the fact that every connection that I have is a very relevant person.
yeah,
I really can have very focused target. I think I can have very focused conversation. What do I want to talk about, and talk
yeah,
about it exactly how I want to talk about, right? I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have to be sweet, nice, rude, whatever. I just had to be me. And I think that's what you really backed up. Like so many times when I would read something and I would, discuss it with you and be like, but this is what I feel. And you were like, go out there and write about it. Go out there
yeah,
and write
yeah,
about it. And as that started to happen, I need to pause, just for a quick second.
and yeah, go
Hello.
for it.
So, there were people, with whom I could have very specific conversations.
Yeah,
And that literally was the playbook. I think certain things that were, just to kind of keep a structure is to post consistently and, engage after you've
yeah,
posted. I mean, you feel a sense of relief that, okay, I've curated this and I've put it out there. Now go do your magic. I think more of the magic really happens in the comment section, and often
absolutely.
not even your comment section.
Yeah,
It's someone, oh my God, this is fact. I have probably had my most high value conversation, because in my head I'm filtering what all can I say about this.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the most sort of like, somebody who can give me the biggest piece of business, uh, and that conversation happened because that person saw my comment
Yeah.
and some link to our work that I had posted in someone else's thread, and
Yeah.
it had thousands of comments, but then this particular one kind of, kind of got, I would say, upvoted, because of more and more people engaging with it. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this wasn't even like something that I had to sit and kind of write. So I think engaging with the content, be it yours, be it others, having
Yeah.
genuine sort of conversations with
Yeah.
AI, it's very easy to see when like AI has a very typical way, or
Yeah.
unless you're really working hard, it has a
Yeah.
very typical way of engaging with people, even in the comment section. But if you can keep that authentic, if you can keep it human, bring your expertise, share what you can, help out, that's great. And I think that is brilliant. Being consistent, engaging immediately,
Yeah.
following through, like really making sure that you circle back and don't leave an opportunity. That too has been a, like a case and scenario with
Yeah.
me, where somebody too good, or something which just felt like, oh, this will just loop into them selling me a service back, and I'm not interested in a vendor or something right now.
Yeah.
And then somebody on my team was like, what happened about this person who commented on your post? And I was like, oh, I did not reply back. And they're like, why? And I'm like, was just too big or just too good to be true. I mean, just felt like a scam.
Yeah.
And I was wrong, because I did, and I had a call set up, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like following through is also just as important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think commenting just literally changes the game, right? I think what so LinkedIn likes to call it something like social index, like what's your social index, right? And then LinkedIn has like certain number, and if you're above it, right? So if you're consistently doing that and commenting, I agree. So I'm at QGrowth right now because I think Karthik and I connected on LinkedIn, I think 2 years back. And then like he has very strong opinions on sales. I have very strong opinions on sales, right? So we would just constantly comment, not on each other's content, but in general, we would just comment, and his name would pop up, my name would pop up, right? And eventually, we just ended up just talking in DMs and sort of connecting, right? So yeah, and you won't believe, like one of the things that I do, right? You know, I've been active on LinkedIn since a long time, right? And I keep scrolling, I see something, and it's for me, it's become like a second nature now. There
Yeah.
have been people who've reached out to me and asked me, okay, so what software are you using for commenting? I'm like, there's no software. It's
Yeah.
just me. Like, but how do you do it so consistently? How do you do it? Like the moment there's a post and we see your comment, it's typically like AI behavior. I'm
I
like,
was that
okay,
person too. Like when I used to see you, I was like, how, how much time do you spend on LinkedIn, or how do you manage doing that? But I think it really doesn't take that much time, right? Like, I mean,
it
I
doesn't.
do,
Yeah,
yeah, I just like, I would get into this hyper mode. I would go online, maybe spend 10 minutes, or if it's a good feed, I would do 20.
yeah,
And then yeah, that kind of takes care of it, because the same stuff shuffling for one cycle. So, but
yeah,
Ametu, what you were saying about you and Karthik earlier, something that came to my mind was that giving feedback back to LinkedIn is also important, like in terms of
yeah,
what my feed shows,
yeah,
and letting LinkedIn know as to what's relevant content versus not. Or even if you're posting about a topic, it tends to bring up, like things which are trending, because it's sort of like a corridor, or like, you kind of live on a street, and even though web is big, and even though LinkedIn is big, and you might have, whatever 3,000 connections, you're not really having, or you're really not visible to those 3,000 people. It's
yeah, yeah,
somehow building a sort of like this virtual street for you, wherein there are these people who live on your street, they also comment, they also post, and like your engagement is kind of in on that street. So
yeah,
unless you change addresses, or you don't, kind of like make that
yeah,
map by yourself in terms
yeah,
of what's relevant for me or what's not, am I going to turn left or not? And that's where it's learning. And I think it's very important, like uh I would have very low tolerance for a bad feed.
yeah,
Like if I see something which is just not, like relevant to me, or I'm seeing posts by people who are not relevant to me, I would engage and like, kind of like go on that three dot menu and change that.
Yeah.
Because it's very important for me that I'm not looking or I'm not investing effort subconsciously on a
Yeah.
feed that's not even relevant for me.
I think that's a great point, and I think it's a very good hack, right? That you can curate your LinkedIn feed, right? And just consciously spend some time, every day when you're scrolling. If you don't like, if you don't like a post, if you don't like something that anyone's posted up, it's irrelevant. Just use
Yeah,
those three dots and just sort of tell LinkedIn that, just remove this
yeah.
from my feed. And I think that's what would differentiate, you actually consuming content on LinkedIn versus just doom scrolling, how it happens on Instagram, right now.
Correct, correct. And it's simple, right? Like like if I'm doing a particular post, I would know how can I get more impressions, which
Yeah,
is to have more people. Either it's a contradicting opinion or it is something
yeah,
from an expertise from the same industry as mine, because then a lot of people would want to talk about it, like
yeah,
would want to, kind of have that kind of engagement. But if I'm looking for sort of like an impact, then I'm going to, talk about delivering value. So then I would probably address it to people who are in product teams or product owners or young entrepreneurs, and
yeah,
then talk about a problem that can solve an industry trend that's happening or something on those lines, which kind of gives them a value piece. And they're like, I saw something, like
yeah,
I see you're an expert and you spoke about this, and I see something of that sort. Let's, like tell me more about it. And that's a
yeah,
different sort of conversation. So it's just important to kind of have that clarity. And when we talk about like refining your feed as well,
yeah,
it's really about, what are you looking for in that sort of like
yeah.
moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, like I have like over 3,000 connections or something like that, right? One of the problems that I was running into was I was just seeing, content from people that I was engaging with, but then I
Yeah,
realized that for me it was a catch-22 situation
yeah,
because I was not cleaning my feed, because I was not curating it. There were almost 500 creators whom I follow because their content is so good, and I was just not seeing their content, right? Even though I had like sort of clicked on the bell icon, wherein I get a notification, and that's something that I follow, right? If I want to see posts from somebody that I really admire and I want to, so I just go to their profile, I just click on that bell icon so that I get the notification. But yeah,
yeah.
I think this is just something really important that I think can be useful for a lot of people who are going to be using LinkedIn for
Absolutely. Yeah, you
growing.
just don't take what is served to you. LinkedIn is also learning. And I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you might find, like some days it's just refined and one odd days like, let's do something new. Let me
Yeah.
just change
Let's go
everything.
crazy. Yeah. Then yeah, let's show this person how a billionaire is flying in a jet and just doing
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, it brings up really random stuff as well in between, and some of it is also because it's sponsored content and ads,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
people running their campaigns, etc. So yeah, that also hits. But yeah, it's important to kind of just break out of it and keep it relevant.
Awesome, awesome. I'm gonna be a little selfish here and do like a nice Q growth plug, right? Now I know that you've been using Q growth for the past 3 or 4 months now, right? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, would love to understand your experience with the platform and specifically the need enrichment piece that we sort of rolled out.
yeah.
Would love to hear your thoughts on that, how you've been using the platform to, get connections, maybe run some targeted campaigns.
Yes. So I think when it comes to lead enrichment, that would be amongst one of my favorite things, because it thinks it brings that human intelligence, like how usually a pre Q growth era or before, I would be able to
Yeah,
use any kind of an automation. The way that I would think is there would be some, hints and triggers which would tell you, what makes somebody a relevant prospect. Because
yeah.
easy to find conversations, that's not tough, but it's you like, I think anybody would find their time wasted if they've just been spending a lot of time in conversations that don't have to converge either, in the near future or ever in the future, like, like in general. Because if you're and that's what I was saying about people who stick templates, right? Because they would very comfortably give you a report which says, oh, we reached out to these many people and look at this pool and look at, like the response rate and look at this open rate and stuff like that. I mean, they would really glorify it, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, but I don't see money in my bank, brother. Like, I
yeah,
don't know how these numbers are helping me. No,
yeah.
no, no, it'll eventually work. But then, the way a human brain works, or the way that I would think is, put, like how when you have that sales navigator filter. I mean, that's just not enough. There's a lot more you need to do, because there's so many hints in
Yeah.
terms of, who's working in a transformational position, who's recently moved to a new role. Probably the previous person was not able to pull off. They've been brought in to make a change. Where have they come from? Do they have
Yeah.
experience in this industry? What's their working style? And then, you would then break it down, then you would classify. So especially when you want to run nurturing campaigns, and that's the good thing about AI, like, what is that term that you use, sprinkle and something like
Pray and pray.
spray? Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
for me, it's spray and pray, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But for me, it's, what makes more sense, or something which is more like me, is to be hyper specific.
Yeah.
So as long as I can put in a certain situation, like, trust me, like, for prospects that I really love or really want to convert, I would go down to seeing what school they went to, who were their classmates, what their
Yeah.
trajectory has been. Um, like, I mean, yeah, it sounds like that guy from that series You, but yeah, I would really, really talk, and I would
Yeah.
really find out a lot. But that's because, I want to do my homework, I want to do the
Yeah.
work, and then
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah.
because I know what's my sweet spot, what's the kind of customer I want to work with. And that helps me do it. Like, when I use sort of like the lead gen enrichment tool, it lets me have all of those variable parameters, put them together, think almost like how I would, and then leave it out, like, go do
Yeah.
your job. Rather
Yeah.
than me spending that time scrolling, like, and doing all that, lead enrichment tool lets me kind of get that same value and quality, and I can always refine that list, like, later on, make more sections, get it, like, hyper specific, but at least it's giving me something which is quality.
Yeah. I'm actually very impressed, right? For somebody who's just started, getting into sales and just sort of being a salesperson, I think that's a very good understanding of what you would use an AI for,
Yeah,
how you would utilize that information that you get in lead enrichment.
yeah,
And like second point, like how you said hyper-targeted campaigns, right? I think that's a great point. When people see automation, they automatically assume that it's going to be about volume, right?
yeah,
But I don't think that should be the case, right? Automation just it's making your life easier.
yeah,
Instead of doing those 150 clicks to, reach out to 50 people, you just
yeah,
set it up and let the system do its job, right?
yeah.
And yeah, so I think
And I think that's
that's
what anybody wants, right? Like, who wants to run a campaign where, because you're also, it's also, for me, it's like, if any kind of communication, because of course I'm not conscious if I'm sending something at the rate of, emails or messages which are going to say a pool of 5,000 people. I
yeah,
actually never know them or seen their name either, but they have received some communication with my name or my
yeah,
brand's name. And
yeah.
that kind of takes my first shot of making the first impression away. So I would definitely not want that. I would want to make sure that, from the moment you start hearing my name, it's like boom, 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 close.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how I would want to go. So yeah, I don't think like that, like that very mass activity, very generic activity makes sense. And people like their time being respected, people like their attention being respected. And if you're doing that, I mean, the world is to network and give opportunities, so do it right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's how you make yourself stand out in your communication when you're reaching out to people. Because, and that's part of the reason why we are adding all of these features to cuegrowth, right? Because LinkedIn is now at a stage where email was, I think, 5 years ago, right? Everyone's figured out how to send mass mails,
Yeah,
but nobody knows how to do it,
yeah,
right? And now you see that, email reply rates are dripping, on a daily basis, right? I have not ran an email campaign in the last 6 to 7 months because then I just don't see the point, right? It's just too much effort. But on LinkedIn, and with like we like I use our platform more than anybody else to generate a lot of conversations, but that's it works because it's very hyper targeted, it's very curated.
yeah.
um
And I think for a lot of us, for like the world in general, there was a time when, having like an IVR system or something made you look professional, cool, and
yeah,
big. And people were like, I'm gonna work with them. They have like this service, or like, oh my god,
yeah,
they, like, it sort of like gave that feel. But I think people are sick and tired of it, and there
yeah,
is nothing, like, I think what works is, something which is just super real, super human, and super personal. I was traveling in the US recently, and I had a bunch of conversations that kind of originated from, some of these reach outs, etc., that happened before I was leaving.
Yeah,
Uh, and I think in general, I mean, what kind of, gave me this gauging of why somebody actually responded and, actually was making themselves available during Christmas. I mean,
yeah,
time when everybody is busy and everybody wants to kind of, but it was just a genuine reflective conversation. I was not there
yeah,
to sell. I was there to like, you have somebody who has great expertise, you have such a good unique background, I just want to know more about this because next year I would like to focus on it.
yeah,
And I mean, yeah, can we be friends? Like, can we just have a conversation? And that originated from there. I'm actually working with one of them now. They've joined our team, etc.
yeah.
But yeah, like that's really like the beauty of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think what we tend to forget and what most people have forgotten is that at the end of your communication, there's a human,
Yeah,
right? At the end of the day, as you rightly said, you made the trip, you made the effort, you went there, you met people in person. That's a human to human communication, right?
yeah,
And I think a lot of us, like me personally, I have curated and maintained really good relationships, you know, by just being on a digital platform, right? If of course, if I would get the chance, I would love to go and meet them in person. But yeah, I think the first principle is be human,
yeah,
right? Be human, make try to make a legitimate connection with
yeah.
somebody. I think the metric that like we've started, the wrong metric that we started to focus on is how many meetings am I getting? How many demos am I getting? Right. But then I would say, how many conversations are you starting? Right.
Absolutely. And how many of them are like meaningful conversations, not just something which
Yeah.
is just so scripted and, like bland?
And even if, even if you see that, okay, this conversation is not going to get me business, right? But you feel that, okay, let's just build this somewhere. I've
Yeah.
had people come back to me after 12 months, after 15 months, because I was just connected with them. I was, just being, how you are with
Yeah.
somebody that you know, right?
No, and that too, like when you make a genuine connection, or say a friend, in any capacity, even in a work capacity, a friend does what a friend does. They connect you, they
Yeah.
advise you, they introduce you to other people, they, like sort of work on your trust. And that's how, I mean, that's how it works. And like that's the whole point of keeping it human. A conversation that you can have outside of your fixed Zoom time,
Yeah.
when you're coming with like a very focused agenda, but like something which lets you be more human, talk around it. I mean, that always works.
Well, I think that's majorly why LinkedIn was created, why it came into
Yeah,
existence, right?
yeah.
Like get people around the world to connect with each other, share experiences, and yeah,
Correct. I it's just funny now, but I was just thinking that on one of the trips, and at least like when I was in the UK, I actually ended up going on a road trip with somebody I met as a prospect, and he's like, "Oh, let's talk more about this." But then, how about we make it a drive, and let's do a day trip from
okay.
London, and yeah, and I had them show me around. So, but yeah, it was a great
Yeah,
conversation.
that's super cool, right? That's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's what you can actually get out of, just be and you've not done like I've been your account manager. We've not run major campaigns. We've just done very specific smaller campaigns with
Yeah.
very specific messaging. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this is
I would
super
not
cool.
do anything that I would have not enjoyed doing
Yeah,
back. Like it's not even fun for me. Like running something which is a template and
yeah,
something you just have to say yes to or no to is
yeah,
just not fun for me unless I have to engage my brain and be like, how do I make this special?
yeah. Don't send them something that you would not want to receive yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or even like be approached in a way that you would not like being
yeah,
approached.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I think it's very people just tend to forget that, right? I've been guilty of it, but then yeah, again, like it's a conversation for a different day. We'll
Yeah.
get there. We'll get there when you're like I think a couple of years into the journey. I think we'll have a we'll have a lot of opinions on a lot of things then.
True. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. It has been a great conversation, and yeah, would just love to get you on these videos from time to time as you hopefully continue using our platform And yeah, and being a UX person yourself, it would just be like a great feedback for the team. And yeah,
Absolutely. I love relationships when you're kind of like growing together. And I think that's where I got engaged with Q Growth. It's very nice because a lot of times as new products and features come in, you can really feel that, oh, you're
yeah,
listening to me. And, like I am seeing what I need, happen. And I can see those new features coming in. It's not like something which is giant with a lot of features and, like 70% of it is irrelevant to me. Okay, I
yeah,
live in some corner and I feel like I'm one account to you amongst like so many. I feel,
yeah,
like how we were talking about, everybody likes to feel special, how everybody
yeah,
likes
yeah,
to, have something which is hyper focused. And I think
yeah.
that's where we are with the way the platform is working for us. And thank you, Amir. Thanks for the team as well.
Yeah, no,
It's
I yeah, definitely shout out to Lucine and Nivi as well.
yeah.
I mean, they just work tirelessly to,
And so proactive, like, it's
yeah,
not that we reach out to them and then they respond. So many times they make observations and they're like,
yeah,
we found this and we fixed it and now this is how. And I'm like, brilliant.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I didn't even notice.
No, I just love the way, they just think like a salesperson better
Yeah,
than most salespeople, right? And
yeah,
it's not their primary job. They're supposed to be
yeah,
customer success.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
love it.
Cool, cool. All right, Chidis, thank you
You
so
have a
much.
brilliant day. Thanks for getting me on here and see you
Absolutely.
soon.
See you soon. Bye bye.